What's next for the California economy? When are we going to start producing jobs? Who makes up the current workforce, and what is it going to look like in the future? Hello, this is Danielle L. Scott, Managing Editor for the Graziadio Business Report blog. Today is September 10th, 2009, and here with us is Dr. David Smith, Associate Dean for the Graziadio School of Business and Management, to answer these questions and more and give us an update on the state of the economy. Dr. Smith is an Associate Professor of Economics. A labor economist with an applied focus, his research on credit unions has been used in arguments before the U.S. Supreme Court, as well as in state legislative hearings. A close follower of economic trends, Dr. Smith has appeared in radio and television, as well as in newspapers and magazines. Dr. Smith, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Danielle. It's good to be here.
So tell us about the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. What has been its impact?
The large fiscal stimulus on the part of the federal government has helped stem the tide of the recession. The controversy is, do we know when to spend the money, when to turn off the spigot, and also whether the act is going to create long-term jobs. It certainly is going to create some short-term temporary jobs, as there's a lot of contract work, a lot of construction infrastructure work being done. We're going to have to wait to have a real good assessment of to what extent it's helped the U.S. recover from the recession.
So looking ahead with California, do you think that it can regain its status as a leading global economy?
I'm optimistic about the future of California, the Golden State. People love to work and play here. I think we have to look for the silver lining in the current recession. One of the challenges, of course, is that we're harder hit than most states because we've had a larger real estate bubble than most states. But at the same time, I think we're poised well to recover. The state is going to be more attractive to businesses in the future as real estate prices come down. So young talent, young workers, as they graduate from college, they can stay in California and make a living here, whereas before that was getting really difficult with inflated real estate prices. So I'm confident about the future of California.
What about manufacturing, construction, retail, some of the industries that California has been known for? Do you think that they're going to bounce back as well?
Well, I think we'd have to take those one at a time. I mean, certainly construction will rebound some. We have a tremendous slowdown in construction spending. Once the economy ticks up, people need houses to live in, and there will be more spending on construction. Retail trade is likely to pick up in the short term as consumers start spending more money. We're already seeing some signs of that in the economic data. Manufacturing is a little bit of a mixed story. There's a long run trend decline in manufacturing U.S.-wide, not just in the state of California. However, given the fact that our exports are likely to do well in the years ahead as the dollar continues to decline, I do think the manufacturing that's connected with exporting, such as aerospace, will see a slight rebound.
Well, speaking of aerospace, we've seen in industries such as government and aerospace that a lot of workers are retiring early. Do you think that this is helping to alleviate the short-term unemployment situation?
I think in the case of early retirements, we have to kind of look at it from two perspectives. First of all, it does decrease unemployment because people aren't looking for work, but they're also not producing, and so it's going to reduce GDP, and it's going to hurt the recovery some. At the same time, as our economy becomes more developed and as people become more well off, they decide to retire early. Mm-hmm. And so it's a sign of a well-functioning economy when people aren't working into their 70s and 80s. So there's kind of two perspectives to it. It doesn't help us in the economic slowdown to have people retiring early, but at the same time, it's a sign of a well-developed, a well-off economy when people have the opportunity to retire early.
What do you think the future holds for older workers, let's say those over 50? You know, they have the experience, but they also come with a higher salary. What are their best job prospects?
I think, yeah, that's a very good question. I think certainly it's more challenging for older workers. We have data to suggest that it takes a lot longer for an older worker to find a job. One of the things I would encourage older workers to do is some of the same advice we give to young workers. Keep your skills up to date. Make sure you're computer literate. Network, and as well, I think older workers that are looking for jobs should have an open mind to interim positions. There are many companies looking for interim, senior executive positions, and there the opportunities are greater, and then while you have that position, you can be looking for something more long-term and permanent.
Some recent reports say that the workforce is now over 50% female due to job losses in male-dominated industries such as manufacturing. What do you think this has, what do you think the effect is going to be for gender equity in the workplace going towards the future?
That's a good question, and just prior to this recession, women were about 47% of the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're 50% because of losses in construction and manufacturing, which are male-dominated industries. And I do think that's a long-run trend we see. We see a movement towards more service-based health services, and women make up a larger portion of those in those industries.
Mm-hmm.
So what I see is a scenario where women are less likely to be discriminated against, and they should likely see some gains in gender equity as a result of these kind of longer-run trends in the economy.
Well, it's always good to end on a positive note, so thank you so much for your time answering our questions, Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Danielle. It's been good to be here.
This is Danielle L. Scott for the GBR blog. Find us online at gbr.pepperdine.edu/blog.